Hello, I'm TikTok and welcome to beatbox.guru. Today, our first guest will be Roxorloops, who's joined us from Belgium. He is one of the world's top beatboxers, so he's going to share his beatboxing knowledge with us today in an extensive 1-hour interview. Enjoy watching. Hi, my name is Roxorloops. I'm a beatboxer. I'm 30 years old and I've been beatboxing for about 14 years now, I think. It's a long time. Okay, cool. So, what brings you to Poland, man? I've been invited by TikTok to judge the championships in Poland, in Warsaw. And so I've been judging, and also I'm staying a little bit because I'm taking care of my health at the moment. I'm getting some kind of foot massage, and I'm eating healthy, and I'm not smoking, I'm not drinking, I'm being a clean guy. So how do you like Poland so far? Poland is one of my favorite countries in the world. And it's especially cool because for people from Belgium, for example, Poland is quite of a cheap country. I mean, things are cheap to buy, but still it has all the possibilities. It has all the technology, it has all the opportunities, and you can drink everything, eat everything, watch everything. So basically it's like it's developed country, but it's less expensive to be here. The battle that you were judging, please tell me about your experiences with it. So there were a lot of contestants in the battle. I think that we at least had 60 or more. And it was, of course, a hard job as a judge to do elimination rounds. Because elimination rounds, if you have about 20 or 30, it's okay. But when it starts to be more than 30 beatboxers, it's hard to keep your focus as a judge. And it's hard to rank everyone, so there was a very hard elimination round. Quarterfinals were easier to judge because they were more clear. Like there was always a clear winner and a clear loser or not winner, let's say. And you know, sometimes it's tight, but for me as a judge, I always know who to choose. I never make draw. It's against my principles. So yeah, starting from quarterfinals, it was just enjoying the battle. Please tell me more about the principles of your judging, because we had this conversation, and I know that you have a really strong philosophy of judging beatboxing battles. As a judge, it's very important that you know what you are judging, that you are aware, that you're focused on what's happening, because sometimes I see judges that are falling asleep or not paying attention. So it's always good to be focused, and I'm watching, of course, the technical level, the skill level. Is this beatboxer able to do a certain amount of techniques? But what's also very important is a groove and a feeling, because you might be good technically, but if it doesn't sound like music, if it doesn't make you move, it's less important. So musicality is very important to me. Then also battle attitude. So I want to see, when I see a battle, I want to see a battle. Face to face, as Bilo always says. Exactly, face to face battle. You know, pushing the other one to his limits, and having this tension, you know, of like, okay, someone really wants to win. I think you should never be too confident or too aggressive, because then you come over as cocky or as an asshole. So it's good to be confident, and if you battle, if you are dissing the other guy, make it with a little bit of humor, so it keeps in a friendly spirit, but you know, still you're dissing the other guy. And then what I'm also watching for is replies. It's part of the battle attitude that when some guy is doing something, the guy who replies really has to use his right to reply to, like, okay, show that he can beat the first guy. And give me an example of a good reply. An example of a good reply. I think in World Championships finals, Alem versus Skiller. Alem was doing what Skiller was doing the round before, and Skiller was like, "Oh, you're not doing that good," and then he said like, "Hey, I'm just learning it. It's the first time that I try it." So that was kind of a good way of replying.
Okay, and what kind of exercises would you recommend for beatboxers to sort of build up their attitude towards battling? Watching Rocky movies or?
Yeah, I think that it's important to maybe watch some DJ battles. So the DJs will be also battling, putting in some scratches, try to find these punchlines, and so it's very important to build a set. You know, part of the beatboxing battle is freestyle, but a big part is also a prepared set because you're there to entertain a crowd, you're there to smash your opponent. If you have a prepared set with climaxes and punchlines at the right moment, it will be easier to be in this battle mode without having to improvise it. Because if you are improvising as a beatboxer, a lot of times you go to the stuff that you are practicing at this moment. You know, like you're practicing a new pattern and you've been practicing it for 2 weeks. If you come to a battle and you freestyle and you are out of inspiration at the moment or you feel insecure, you will go to this same routine that you are trying, and that's what I see with a lot of beatboxers actually in battles these days. So the more you are prepared, the better you are on the battle.
Nowadays, a lot of people listen to dubstep music, so there's or trap music or drum and bass, jungle, and genres which have a lot of build-up of these drums, like, and then you drop the beat. How else can you build up the climax except for just dropping the beat?
Part of climax is you can have a silence when you're going to like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and you will have like a moment where people is like, where is 4? And then you have the 4. Of course, now it's just numbers, but if you do it with a punchline, it will be better. For example, yeah, you can, of course, best way to get climaxes is to get these drum rolls, or so what you do is you get intensity of speed, but also intensity of tone. Like you could do suck my motherfucking dick, and then you go suck my motherfucking dick, and then you are like, you know, you get into something and then you start to hype it up, and that's I think pretty important in the climaxing.
Okay, sucking dick, you mean?
So, well, or so someone has to suck a dick, you know, it's a battle. So.
If you were preparing, if you were coaching a champion beatboxer, that would be the next world champion, let's say. What advice would you give him or her to prepare well? Let's keep beatboxing out of it for now, just building beats, but let's focus on the attitude and the preparations. What would you recommend?
I would for sure recommend to, if you are going for a battle, you need to know what kind of a battle this is. So first and for all, check your situation. If it's like national championship, you will know the people who will be playing part in it. For most part, you will know the important guys that you have to watch out for. If you go to world championships, check the guys, you know, there's YouTube material of everyone. Check the guys that you are going to battle. That's very important to know what's the level, what's being done, so you have a good prepared way of going there. Also see who the judges are. Take in count look at other battles, what are judges voting for. So it's very strategical. And then what I would do is you just do a lot of freestyling, do everything you can and write it down. Write down all the sets that you have, give a name to every routine, record something if you got something new, record it, keep it, and just have a full list of everything you have. And then select your A material, like a new sound, a new special technique, this is going for final round, only for final round. And if you don't um, if you don't make it to final round, you didn't drop the sound. I mean, don't drop it in a panic moment. Prepare it, and then elimination set really easy because you don't have to battle anyone, so you can really build an elimination set, very strong one. And then I would prepare for the battles. You just prepare like it's 1.5 minute battling each round. Prepare 1 minute of set, keep half a minute for replies. And if you know who's gonna be your opponents, you can have already replies prepared, you can have already, stuff prepared against other guys. And then be ready way before the battle starts. Like if it's gonna be in April, be sure that your sets are ready in end of February. And then all you have to do is practice them before the show comes. Because if you have good ideas and a new set, but you didn't practice it, and you are under the pressure of the battle, you will not perform it well. You need to have done it 100 times already. Try to do it on stage, try to do it with a mic, try to do it with moves, with attitude already. When I practice with my hand here, even if I don't have a mic, just, so I know how I'm gonna move. And if you're gonna make a punch to someone, that you are really prepared in the body, and, it has to come automatically on the battle. So prepare.
Okay. So would you also recommend like practicing in front of a mirror?
I would definitely recommend practicing in front of a mirror. It's like also record yourself, listen to yourself and watch yourself in the mirror or camera or whatever, so you can see like, oh shit, this looks kind of gay, I need to change this style, or like, oh no shit, what did I do? So, so try to, watch yourself and this, like the attitude on stage, and when you're gonna go like for that like that you have these moves prepared, and when you're on the battle, you just pop them out.
Okay. Okay, that's very intense. That reminds me of how Olympic athletes prepare for the Olympics. A year ahead, and just practice.
Yeah, it's all about practice. I mean, come on, yeah, it's all about practice. That's the main thing. That's really, and first part is inspiration, creativity. For me also, a lot of things come to me if I have to battle. They come to me like a little bit just before the battle. I will have ideas, and that's why if you prepare the 1 minute set and you have some ideas the night before, you're scared in your bed and you're shit, tomorrow's the battle, and now you're repeating everything. If you find something, you still have some space to put it. So creative process is one, but then preparation is the key.
Okay. What would you say about fighting the stress, sort of? Because some beatboxers I know are very well prepared, very good technically, but then again on stage, when the moment comes, they're like wind up, and stress eats them. So
stress is always killing you, especially in a battle. And I've seen so many good beatboxers stressing out on a battle, wanting to be too loud, wanting to be too fast, especially when you're intimidated by your opponent, like fuck, he was loud, and now I have to be loud, and you overdo it. It's there's nothing much to do about it except for experience. If you did it a couple of times, you will know it, you will be more confident, you will be more secure. If the first time you're ever on a stage is on a battle, man, it's almost impossible to win, because the stress is really gonna kill you. And I would say, when I'm judging, I always account that people on the battle are performing at about 60% of their regular skill. And there's very few people who get even 80% of what they really can on a battle, because it's the stress. But then again, if you are well prepared, stress is less. When you are not prepared, then the stress is really high.
So are there any special techniques for memorizing the beats that you would recommend, like mnemonic techniques, like you're in a room or something, I don't know, whatever. What do you use for this? Because if you have 60 different patterns, you obviously have to memorize them.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm creating sets. So if I'm going to a battle, I'll be creating sets and I'll be making, I go from this song to this song to this routine to this punchline. And so there's a story in every battle which has a kind of an intro, you know, to like, hey guys, oh, oh, and then you get into the story, then you have the middle part with a couple of climaxes here and there, and then your ending has to be like, bam, and you know, like, so to memorize it, I write it down, write down your sets, and then practice them again, practice and prepare.
Would you recommend practicing in front of an audience as well? Like taking part in smaller battles or doing this battle stuff in your parts of it during concerts or whatever, like.
Yeah, I think doing some of the stuff that you will do in a battle set, if you can do it on a stage already, that's for sure really, really good to do. So if you are performing quite a lot, it's good to have, of course you cannot do battle stuff and like to your audience, you know, it's gonna be like, oh, what? But covers of songs, you know, or special techniques and routines, you can for sure try out with audience and to feel how it feels on stage and how people will react to it. That's also a very important one. You can have some crowd participation where you ask people to clap along with you. I mean, if I'm judging and I see someone who's talking to the crowd and the crowd goes, oh, oh, on his beats, as a judge, it will score some points. So, yeah, for sure, practice with audience.
You mentioned doing covers, so let's talk about the proportions of covers of other people's music and original beats. What do you think about this?
Basically, when it comes to covers, it's crowd pleasers. You are doing covers only for one reason, it's to please the crowd. I mean, otherwise, if it wasn't for the crowd, I wouldn't do no covers. Never. I would just do techniques and have fun and do rhythms. So I think in every set should be at least a cover. It's not like a rule, but it's a good thing to have. Because it's these moments where you have the crowd, oh, he's doing that song that I know. So it's very smart to get the crowd on your side. And try to do covers, original covers. So I mean, like, find your own covers of songs.
As opposed to covers that previously were done by beatboxers.
Yeah, don't do If Your Mother Only Knew on a battle. Don't do I'm Just a Bachelor. Don't do too many of the known, like a Snoop Dogg. You know, don't do it on a battle. Do it on a showcase. Yeah, for sure, people are gonna love it. But you know, try to find some original covers of your own. And if you find those and can perform them well, they will score a lot of points.
You've been watching Beatbox Guru. If you like the videos, please hit that subscribe button to make sure you get your beatboxing knowledge.